So welcome to part 2 of the production diary. Sorry about the audio to start off with. I'm not using my microphone today because I've got so much to do in this production, it's unreal. So I've just set up the table scene. I'm just going to take your handheld for now. I've just set up the table scene, and obviously this is to implement part of the story, or is about part of the story that this guy's sort of given up. He's a convicted murderer. He's an arsehole. So I'm about to shoot this scene. Here I've got some green screen paper to add pictures of the star, which is me, obviously. And yeah, we're just going to shoot this scene now, and we're going to basically take it in post, because what I like to do is shoot my stuff, edit it, cut it, and do all my bits and pieces and add it to the timeline, if that makes sense. And I do that in sections until I've basically got the complete film finished. That's the way I like to work. And then the final thing I do is do the audio mix down on it. So yeah, let's just get this recorded. Fag lit there at the ashtray, just to add a bit of realism. So that's that bit. Hopefully that's come out okay, and then I'm going to have to do the rest of that in post. Right, so we've just done that scene, so I've got your handheld, and it was quite complicated actually, because at the end of the day there's quite a few visual effects shots that are going into this shot. So I've got a little flashing light to indicate flashing from outside, and there's quite a few visual effects shots actually in the shot, as you can see by the green screen, here and here. So I'm going to take it to post, and I've got some nice shots I'm quite happy with. I'm just going to take it to post to see what I can actually do with it. So yeah, we're just going to do that. Right, so I'm just copying the stuff over from my BMCC, and I'm just going to open up my project file. I'm just going to play around with part of the film. What I like to do in general, I mean, a lot of people got different ways they want to work, but I like to shoot my scenes and then edit them. I know it sounds crazy, and then the only things I don't really edit is the audio and the sound effects. But I always give myself a temp track. Now I've got a temp track that I created in Filmstro. I have a full license of Filmstro, and I absolutely love it. I'd recommend it to anyone. And basically, like I've just said, I mean, the way I like to work, I'm going to let my project load up very quickly. The way I like to work is shoot what I need to shoot and then drop it into my timeline and play around with the edit, play around with the grading. Now, while that's loading, here I've got my adjustment layer, which has got my color grade, it's got my borders, my aspect ratio, so on and so on, as you can see here. So as I add my footage into my scene, I can immediately get a rough idea of how I need to grade that footage to match this lot here, for instance. So basically this is basically the opening sequence of the film. Okay, so there will be a tutorial coming up on how I knock this up very quickly, but I've got some more advanced effects coming to this picture. So I'm just going to import the files that I've just added. So we've got this one here. This is what I've just shot now, so I'm just going to import that. and we're going to play around with this shot here. I'm going to import this one here. I'm just going to import this is an old one. Let's import this one, and we're just going to test out these ones for now. So this is obviously flat. As you can see, this is panning down, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start it there, and I'm just going to pan down. Here is a green screen which I'm going to add some visual effects. I'm going to add in there. So I'm just going to, and then as soon as I drop it into my timeline, I've already got the grade set. As you can see, I just need to play around with the way it looks. So I'm just going to unlink that, and I'm just going to delete that bit of audio, and this is all my footage of what I've got. So I've got this lot here, my intro. This I've still got to organise it. This is all my footage on this line here, which I've got to organise, and this is another shot here which looks pretty nice. So what I like to do is I'm going to add a ripple effect, ripple transition, and as you can see, that sort of cuts in to that quite nicely. So now down the bottom here I've got my temp track. Okay, this is my temp score, and what I normally do is I'll just use the same thing for the opening sequence throughout. So I know the opening sequence is probably going to be about another 20 seconds long, so even though it don't match, I've got a rough idea of how it's going to sound. So when I go into what do you call it, when I go into Filmstro, I've got a rough idea on how my score is going to look. Okay, so I'm just going to play that back and see how that looks. See, that don't look too bad. Now what we might have to do is stabilize that shot, because as you just see there, it was a bit wobbly and I need a smooth pan. So you see that it was a bit wobbly, so I'm just going to go into effects. Now we might not be able to stabilize it with that, so I'm just going to switch off the adjustment layer, because sometimes it doesn't let you stabilize edited footage or graded footage. So I'm just going to try it, drop a warp on there. Yeah, see, it doesn't let you do it. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to go to sequence settings on that, and I'm just going to have to change that to 1080 on that layer there, so that the other one's alright there, but that one's not. So I can drop a warp stabilizer. I should be able to drop a warp stabilizer on it now. Yeah, and let that analyze. Go to effects, that's your warp stabilizer. This is just going to allow me to get a more stable, smooth shot. And I'm going to show you a little trick in a second, how to pull off a different shot with the same footage, which I think would be quite cool. And then we're going to add our effects in here. But first of all, I'm going to have to look for a picture of myself to do that. So I want to show you that. So wait for that. So while that's thing, I'm going to pause it, and I'm going to look for a picture that I need to use for this shot. Right, so that shot has been stabilized, which is great. So I'm just going to put this back to sequence settings. I'm just going to put this back to 817. Okay. Make sure that's all okay, and then switch my effects back on. That looks a lot better. So I'm just going to render that. I like to render my effects as I'm doing it, so you see that needs rendering, even though it'd be quite quick to do because it's quite a powerful system. I don't want to give any opportunity of lag. So that effect is sorted. Right, so that is being done there. I don't know what's going on there. So let's just select on that, and let's just switch that off. Right, so that's cool. So now what we need to do is add the effect in here. Now I've got the the footage or the picture that I need to use. So I'm simply going to click on that, and I'm going to right click, replace with After Effects composition. Just going to wait for After Effects to load up, and then we can add our picture in here, and I'm going to show you how to do that in a second. As you can see faintly, I've got a lot of markers and I've got a lot of black spots from the ash, from the ashtray. They're going to basically help me track this footage. So tracked, I'm going to title it tracked picture. Okay, so that's brought my shot basically into After Effects, as you can see there quite nicely. So what I need to do, sorry about the noise in the background guys, what I need to do is track this shot. So I'm just going to go back to the beginning, go to animation, and I'm going to basically track motion, because it's a motion. I'm going to open this up, and I'll put this point on this spot here, best I can. And then I've got my tracking things here, so I'm going to go rotation, and I want to bring it maybe to here. So let's get this bit here. That was not too bad. Bring that in. Okay, so down here I'm going to create, I'll leave that like that, and then basically I'm going to track forward. Hopefully we're going to get a smooth track, but it's only a temporary shot, so I'm not having this complete shot in the scene, but hopefully because we've got the tracking markers, it's going to keep the shot in. That hasn't, but whatever goes off screen we're going to fade out of the picture anyway, so it's not a problem. Right, so I'm going to create a new null object, like so. I'm going to edit target, null one, click OK, click apply, X and Y yes, and click OK with that null object. I'm going to go to effect, keying, key light. I'm going to key that out, screen mat, and then I'm just going to open up my screen mat down here and just make sure my blacks are black. Now you see all the white spots here, that's why I want to leave it because that's the dust. Yeah, I'm just going to make sure. Now the Blackmagic Cinema camera, the one thing about this camera is it is absolutely insane to track with, to grade with. So as you can see there, I mean, green screening on this camera is just insane. So sorry about I tracked that, I don't know why I did that, but I'm going to need to add that track to it anyway. So I'm going to import that picture back in, and I'm just going to drop it on top, just below, sorry, I do apologise about that. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to play around with the way it looks. I'll make it 3D. Let's parent that picture up with the null object, and let's just try and get it right, okay? So I've got my rotation tool. Now the thing about doing things like this, I mean, this is where the time takes getting things right. I'm going to open it and do it for me actually, guys. Transform. Right, so let's just play around with the orientation. Rotation like that. Make sure that's flat like that. Let's just hit S on the keyboard and scale that picture up. And maybe bring that down like that. Scale it up so it fills the newspaper. Maybe like that. Now because we added that to our null, when we play it back, as you can see, we've got a perfect tracked image. But the only problem is that this footage doesn't match the newspaper. This picture, it just doesn't match. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on the picture and go to effect. We're going to go to, oh, I didn't want to do that, sorry about that guys. Go to effects, we're going to go to where is it, color correction, and we're going to go to tint. So first of all, we're going to bring the tint down just a bit, right, maybe about there, maybe about there, I'll say. Right, let's add another effect. Let's go to blur and sharpen. Let's go to fast blur. Let's go to blur radius, and just bring the blur up just slightly, because we want to get an essence of it's there, like I'm in the picture there, but you know, not too much, so that looks pretty cool. Let's go effects, and then we're going to go to color correction, and where is it? Photo filter. And now as soon as we apply photo filter, that sort of corrects itself to the scene. So if we, let's just play that back now, see how we look. There's some still bits and pieces going there. Now that's moved, but that don't really bother me, because that image is not going to be on the scene. It's probably going to be on the scene to about there, so it doesn't bother me that that's gone out of sync, like so. So now when we jump back into Premiere Pro, we've got me in my scene, but we still need to do a bit to that, because that looks too blown out. You see how that's moved there, but I'm going to chop it in a minute. Alright, so let's go into After Effects, go back to color correction, let's go to effects, color correction, and let's go to curves. Let's bring it up slightly to about there, and now let's bring this one down here a bit. So what we're doing is we're playing with this bit here, yeah? As we do that. Right, so let's have a look at that. Still looks a bit, not too convinced with that, so let's just go back. Basically, visual effects is about trial and error. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of that by scaling my picture up. And then let's bring in this picture in. Let's just scale it up so we've got a full. Yeah, about there. That's going to look really good. That's going to look good. Let's bring our fast blur down now to about there. See, adding visual effects. Yeah, see, that looks really, really good. That makes me look like one sinister punk. So let's just play it. Right, so we're going to do a quick ripple change. Just going to render that out. Render effects in and out. And that's basically it. That's how we add, you know, green screen to newspapers, to add yourself into newspapers and stuff for features. I'm giving you sort of like a, not like a treat, but like I'm sort of behind the scenes of what I'm filming at the moment, which is quite cool. But yeah, if I wait for that to render, and then you can see what we've done. So I'm just going to play from here. It's pretty cool, that. It's got a bit of ash all over it. That moves, so I'm going to cut that out now. And I've got more footage that I need to add into that, which I've got in my timeline. So I've got more footage here, like this bit here, I've got this bit here, I've got the flashing lights to symbolise that something's going on outside, so I'm going to get that, and then like the lights are flashing outside. Let's go that, let's drop that in. Let's unlink that. So you see what I'm saying about the colour grading? Yeah, I'm getting a rough idea of, because I'm putting over my timeline, I'm getting a rough idea of how the picture's going to look by just adding an adjustment layer with the grade I want over the top of it. So I'm just going to add a simple ripple, because I do like my ripple. Right, see, now that's really sort of jerky, so we need to stabilise that in shot. But what I like to do is I'm going to get this, I'm going to stabilize my shot. So I'm going to click on that sequence setting. I'm going to change that back to 1080p. This was filmed in ProRes, guys, 1080p, yeah? So I like ProRes a lot, so I'm going to change that back to that, and then I'm going to go to my effects. Let's add a warp stabilizer to that and let that stabilize. What I need to do is, can you see the flashing? I need to color grade this section. Like I said, this is our work. Everyone works differently. I like to do my work as I'm going along. So I'm just going to bring the exposure down and just test that out, because I want that flashing light as background just here. So let's bring the blacks down. Bring the whites down. I'm going to bring the blue, because this is my sort of teal look. Bring the contrast up. Let's just have a look. So we've got the light there flashing on the astro, which is what I want. So I'm going to get my curves and just bring that down slowly. Go back to my basic correction and make it more blue. Alright. Because every shot has different lighting, you know, every angle has a different light effect. Do you know what I mean? I've got some nice thingy there. So I want that to go to about there, and then trim that down to about there. Let's play that back. Added a bit of grain over that. Same sort of technique that I used in this sequence for the green screen newspaper here. Very briefly. Right, so that's it, guys. So if you have enjoyed this video, a like rate would definitely be appreciated. And next week, obviously, we're doing a bit more until we get to the end of the film, basically. Which is going to be very, very cool. So, as always, if you have enjoyed this video, a like rating is definitely appreciated. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, remember, hit that subscribe button. And as always, I'll definitely catch you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.